Mariano is going to be doing some artwork here live on the Bueller bus. First time ever, besides this little doodle I did. I did a little doodle one time.
That's now a work of art.
Yeah,
you should autograph it, and yeah.
It's a limited one of one.
Yes.
So there you go. But besides that, this will be the first time that we're doing artwork on the bus. So let's
really, this is a first.
Yeah.
Wow.
We can make that big.
Wow, wow, wow.
We're still there. We're still off to the side. We're small, but we're highlighting what you can do and your talents. Because I don't have many talents as far as when it comes to creativity.
As far as I'm concerned, you're multi-talented.
Okay, you're just being kind because you're on the bus. Okay, off the bus, it's like, get out of here. Get out of here,
Not
man.
true. Yeah. Not true.
Get out of my way. I'm walking here. I'm like, okay, I see how it is. Todd, how you doing, Todd? If you can hear us, okay, let me know because we have a different audio set up on this one because we can't get the echo with two cameras at the same spot. So hopefully we got the audio going just right coming from the phone. But Todd, let me know since you're in the chat. But so what do you have for us today? What do you want to do?
So today it's all about. Let's see if I can get this right. Is this upside down or is this right side up?
It's a little bit of there. That's perfect. You got it.
We see.
That's great. Yep, we got it.
That's the. And by the way, this is going to be news to you.
Okay, look at that.
I'm with Dynamic Forces, Dynamite Entertainment. I'm currently with them.
I knew that.
But back in the 90s, I worked with Dynamic Forces for a while.
Nice.
And part of what I did was, that's right, bud. You tell him.
Well,
you tell him.
He probably sees Rex walking around the parking lot again. Sam, come on, buddy. Come on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's all good. I designed this logo.
You did?
Back in the day as an art director. I mean, we had some designers come in and help out, but I basically art directed and produced this logo, which is still in use to this day.
So every time they use that logo, you get a cut, right?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how it works.
Is it really?
No.
I didn't think so.
Being totally sarcastic.
Yeah, well, I think we figured that out.
For Dynamic Forces, and this is where Neil Adams came into play, Dynamic Forces has asked me to create an homage cover to this with a new publication that DC came out, which is an oversized version of the piece.
Yep.
So this is what it looks like.
That's awesome.
Upside down again, right?
No, they got it.
They got it?
They can figure it out.
All right. If they can figure it out, we're not touching anything new.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. So our viewers are talented.
DC was kind enough to put together not just this, but a blank sketch cover edition, which is where I come in. I've gotten a little bit of a head start on this.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to finish it during this show, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but we're going to swing it.
That's awesome.
So it's a recreation of that cover. I'm not going to get into the craziness that Neil Adams got into with all the people, celebrities, and whoever he had drawn in there.
Yeah, Batman's in the front row. There's some other
there's all sorts of industry people.
Yeah, industry
when you
people
look
in
at
there.
The key inside the cover, they give you a key of who's who, and it's crazy how many people he threw in there.
Absolutely.
But Mariano's not doing that.
Okay.
No, we're simplifying.
You can't just drop a Bueller in there? Come on, man.
I could.
There you go.
But then I have to drop a Barucci in there.
Right there.
No. Yeah, that's exactly how this is going to go.
One is enough. One is enough.
We're gonna just create a simple spotlight.
This is a private battle just for me to watch on the sidelines.
Yeah. And we're gonna do this a little backwards because when you're dealing with markers, sometimes the markers tend to run if you put Copic markers on top of them. So in this scenario, it's very quick now to flesh out these pencils. I'm going to flesh out the pencils, and then I'm going to go into colors.
So when you're drawing this, okay, are you? And obviously, it's an homage. You're looking at the other drawing for reference? Okay.
And I'll be doing that a lot, especially with when it comes time to do the ink lines. So, yeah. And then it's a little tricky because some stuff is hidden by heads and stuff. So I'm just going to have to make it up as I go along. Yeah.
So this is actually something that me and Neil Adams talked about.
Really?
When I was with him when we did the interview a few years back. And we talked about this cover and him drawing Muhammad Ali. And we talked about him doing Mr. T as well. And we had a conversation about that the other day. and he was very good friends with Mr. T. And I had asked him, I go, who's going to win in the match, Muhammad Ali or Clubber Lang, Mr. T? That's the character he played in Rocky. What was that, Rocky 3?
Yeah.
I believe it was Rocky 3. And even though I'm pretty sure he said he'd met both Muhammad Ali and Mr. T, but he had a fondness for Mr. T himself. But he still said Muhammad Ali would win. And I'd have to agree with him. Now, in this battle, Muhammad Ali against Superman, I'm going to have to give it to Superman.
It's been decades since this thing has been out,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to reread it because I really have not. I've forgotten a lot of the details of this story. I'm not so sure that Superman wins.
It doesn't make sense though if he doesn't.
Well, if he's under some kind of red sun thing or other, then it can make sense. I don't know what they did.
Maybe there's kryptonite in Muhammad Ali's gloves.
Yes.
If you guys know, let us know. But I'll need to look through this book. I don't know if I've ever looked through this book before.
I bought a copy of this thing some years back, which was a hardcover reproduction, but it wasn't oversized.
Mm-hmm.
It was comic book sized.
Yeah. So.
But it's still in the shrink wrapping. I didn't open it up to read it.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Our friend John Spilios, he actually came by the office last year, I believe. Really big guy. I don't know if you were there when he came by with his wife. But he had called me earlier on in the year, and he said, hey, my neighbor has a box of comics. That he's like, I'll just come over and get them. And so John goes over there to grab this box. And inside this box of comics was X-Men number 1 through 10. The original X-Men. Okay.
Really?
Yes. And Fantastic Four number 1. And this book right here in this box and stuff. And he's like, he called me up. He was shaking. He was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I was like, I know what you're going to do. I go, I know what type of guy you are and stuff like that. You're not just going to say, oh, thanks, and walk out. So he ended up taking those books and did a consignment and got a bunch of money for the gentleman who had the books and stuff like that. But can you imagine seeing something like this just sitting in some guy's closet, for the last 30, 40 years, whatever it was, with X-Men 1 and like Fantastic Four number 1?
For the longest time, and you might be able to flesh this out, because I don't know if it's urban legend or reality, but for the longest time, there was a story swirling around that Steve Ditko had a farm in Pennsylvania and had all sorts of comic samples that he had gathered over the years.
Really?
From Marvel, yeah. And I don't know the reality of that. I don't know whatever became of it. But you being the comic book luminary that you are.
I don't think anyone's ever called me that before.
They have now.
Yeah, I think there's another gentleman that works in your office that might be a little bit better at that than I am.
Then I've given you a head start on tonight's show.
Yeah, exactly.
You can throw that out there.
This is pretty good. This setup is actually working out pretty well. This is something we just kind of rigged up really quickly with a tripod and stuff like that to show this artwork. That's really cool, man.
We're not gonna waste any time. We're jumping right in.
Christina, how you doing? Appreciate you joining us today.
Right into the markers.
But you do a lot of artwork. Like I said before, because I had you on here the other day, you do a lot of work for Dynamic Forces.
Yes, and as I also said before, I have some great partners that work with me. Specifically, Joe Del Beato. It's branched out to others as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun, but it's daunting. At this point, I think we've done hundreds and hundreds of covers.
Yeah. That's really cool.
But daunting. I'm going to use the word daunting.
Do you have a favorite character to do?
That's a tough call because over the years I've developed some of my own characters.
Yeah.
So I would say that my own personal creations are my favorites.
Sure.
But from back in the day, I'm going to say Kirby Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And Ramita Spider-Man. Those are some of my favorites.
Nice.
So even to this day, I try to squeeze in some Spider-Man covers as much as I can into the stuff that we're doing for Dynamic Forces.
Yeah.
In Dynamic Forces, we've set up a I don't know if pipeline is the right word, but we've set up a scenario where the work that appears on the EXP actually feeds what happens in the dynamic forces diamond previews material.
Yeah, I've seen that in there.
So a lot of what we're doing, so for example, this is not going to be on the EXP.
Yeah.
This is strictly for dynamic forces. I believe it's going into the January 2025 catalog. That's how far we work in advance. But since I love Neil Adams and I'm having fun, more than likely this will be replicated for the EXP.
Mm-hmm.
But for the EXP, since I can be a little more experimental on the EXP, I think we're going to do a Leroy Neiman style to this, to make it seem like it had been a Leroy Neiman painted piece.
Yeah.
Which I think would be cool.
So speaking of the EXP.
Yes. Wait, this is all about dynamic forces. What do you mean speaking of
Well,
EXP?
I just gotta say it.
What is that? What?
Well, here's the deal. Like,
what's going on?
Later today on my channel,
on your channel,
at 6 o'clock, we do a claim sale. We do it every Thursday. We've actually been doing it every Thursday for over 2 years.
That's where EXP is coming in.
And it's the people from EXP. It's on my channel, so it's like the form that you fill out is like the EXP form. So that's what the link is for that.
Makes sense.
But a lot of times we have your artwork on the channel that we sell during the show.
Nice.
And because we have the commission cover artwork and stuff like that, a lot of it's yours, with some others as well. But
yeah, there's some others.
Yeah,
it's a few others there. But some of my work.
Yeah, some of your work. Ken Hazer's work is on there quite a bit and stuff like that.
Ken Hazer.
He does an awesome job.
That guy is amazing.
Very
amazing.
But so please join us tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Comics with Bueller. Rex and Alex will be there. We got a bunch of books for sale, including some of the stuff that this gentleman's done. And know that my commission, because I do get a commission for everything that's sold on the Bueller sale, 100% of my commission goes towards Jen for Comics Will Break Your Heart with her battle with cancer. And so know that everything you purchase, my commission, 100% of that will go to help her battle. But I've had your artwork on my show for almost 2 years. Yeah, it's on there. And people have bought it, and people have bought me some of your artwork and sent it to me.
Cool.
So I have some of it in my collection. I don't carry it with me on the bus. I just
if there's anything you need me to touch up, you let me know.
No, it's all perfect.
I'll get in there.
It's all good. I think I have a Batman one that you did.
Okay.
And I think my buddy Descending Climax, that's his YouTube name, he bought it for me. And when I went to visit him, he gave it to me when we went out to dinner and stuff like that. So nice. I have a piece of your custom, one-of-a-kind artwork in my collection. And
that sounds impressive when you say it that way.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the opportunity to sell it.
I don't blame you.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna keep it.
Cash in on it.
I'm gonna keep it.
I'll make another one for you.
Well, there's some out there, so I know that there is. I'm just waiting for you to put me on the cover or something like that, because I've been on the cover of.
Could happen.
I've been on the cover of 2 comics.
That could happen.
I was on the cover of Red Sonja versus Mars Attack for my exclusive I did with Dynamite.
I remember that one.
And that was by Dan Jurgens.
Dan Jurgens,
that's
right.
Very nice gentleman.
Another great guy.
Yeah.
Amazing talent.
I saw him at the Baltimore Comic Con, and he's like, "Is Nick coming?" And I go, "I don't think so." So he was like, "Oh, you tell Nick he needs to show up next time." So Nick Brucci, that is. And but he's a really nice guy. And then I was on the cover of a book called Ninja Funk. I don't know if you've heard of that one before.
I have not.
But it
sounds funky.
It's kind of funky.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Couldn't resist.
But it was an homage to Action Comics #1.
Oh, very
And
cool.
instead of the car being slammed into the rock, it was the bus being slammed into the rock. And then I was running away with the guy that runs around the corner and stuff like that. So I'm on there. So I've made the appearance on two comic books. So have you made an appearance on books? Do you draw yourself in sometimes?
You
do, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, you do.
I do, with the aforementioned characters that I've created. But it's not as insidious as you're making it sound. You're making it sound insidious.
It's not insidious.
However,
you have every right.
As an artist,
yeah.
there are times where you have to like position a hand or do a profile, or so in the context of that, I've put myself in.
Yeah.
But I haven't done what Neil Adams has done with this cover, which is literally do celebrities, industry professionals. I have not done that.
Yeah.
But thanks for opening up that can of worms, because that's the next thing I'm going to hear. Hey, Mariano, put me in your next cover.
Yeah, just add a bunch of people. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
I've been working on one of my writer friends to put me in one of his books, because I actually helped him get a job. And it's like, okay, you're in issue 13. Like, okay, great. It only took a year and a half, but I'm in there, so I'll take it. And then I did have another comic book that was dedicated to me, so that was kind of cool by the writer. It was in the book. It says dedicated to comic popular and stuff like that. So that's
nice.
Cool. But yeah, that's cool. So what are these pins that you use? These look hardcore, man.
You know, this is going to sound crazy, but we're being honest, right?
No,
we're not gonna fake it.
Sure, we're not gonna fake it. Hey, Cliff, how you doing?
I honestly don't know what I'm using.
Okay.
Because 9 times out of 10, I'm receiving these as gifts from loved ones.
Oh, okay.
So this particular set right here was a birthday gift, and this other one I'm going to crack open was a Christmas gift.
Oh, okay.
So I'm using that. So this is called King Art.
Yeah.
Alcohol-based ink, and this guy is Dabo Shobo.
Nice. I'm assuming these aren't from like the Dollar Tree.
I don't know.
Okay.
They're gifts. They may very well be. I
don't think they are.
However, again, in the interest of transparency for you, I use everything and anything.
Yeah.
I'll go to the Five Below. I'll pick up the box of $5 markers, and I'll use that. I have found over the decades, if I can sound so old, that it doesn't matter. Like, yes, these are fine markers.
Yeah.
They're going to dry out just like anything else dries out. They're going to have, red is red and blue is blue, and so
basically what you're telling me is your talent is so massive, it doesn't matter what instrument is in your hand, you'll make it work. That's basically what you just said.
You're the host here. I'm the guest.
Yes.
So
I just said you have enormous talent.
I know.
That's pretty good.
But it's pressure, man. It's just pressure. You're adding more pressure. You
seem like a gentleman that can handle the pressure. Yeah. You've been doing this for a long time. This is not like a new thing.
You're right.
This is something, this is, I mean, we'll use the phrase an old hat, okay?
And it's apt. It's apropos.
Yeah.
I did some where do we start? Where do we start with this? So my formal education was in design, and for many, many years, I was an art director. I was an art director at Marvel. I was an art director in magazine publishing. Prior to Marvel, a company called Ziff Davis. So my background is design and graphics. But later on in years, I went to graduate school, a couple of different graduate schools, and got a couple of degrees in illustration.
Yeah.
Just because I sort of wanted to round out my education, so to speak. So it was in the context of that, of studying illustration and studying illustrators, U.S. and international. You can literally draw with anything.
Yeah.
You could draw with sponge. You could draw with plastic edge tips.
Now, I've drawn with sponge. It didn't work out very well.
It depends how these tools are applied.
Okay. I'll take your word for that one.
Something triggered that whole diatribe. You said something that triggered it. Something. Oh, the markers. And so So I have had artists who shall remain nameless
Sure.
to protect the guilty.
Yep.
And
to protect the guilty. I like that.
You like that? Huh?
Yeah.
So, I'm not happy with that piece. I don't like the way that came out. The markers were too dry, or I bought markers at the Five Below.
Yeah.
And I listen to that, and it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Just apply yourself, get in there, use the tools, make it work.
Yeah.
No matter what. And the other problem, actually a couple of problems. Number one, you're never going to meet an artist, and me included, that is going to take a look at their work a week after it's done, a month after it's done, a year after it's done, and look back and say, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Never.
Other people do that for you.
But nevertheless, an artist, a true artist, is never, ever, ever satisfied with whatever they've produced. There's always something to fix. There's always something to tweak. That kind of makes us perfectionists. That kind of makes us a little crazy. But that's another scenario where it's an insecurity that all artists have, that you never feel, and the danger is overworking. That was the other thing I was going to get into, is that the danger is that you start to overwork a piece because you're thinking that you need to do more and more and more.
So if you're always like questioning your artwork, okay, and maybe it's not like, even though it's done in your mind, it's never really done. There's always something more you can do. How do you manage compliments? Because obviously you get a lot of compliments on your work. Oh, this is wonderful. This is beautiful. This is exactly what I want. And in your mind, you're like, maybe I could have done this a little bit different and whatnot. I mean, do you just kind of have to like, okay, I am that talented, and they realize it, so I just gotta have to go.
Never.
Come on.
You humbly accept whatever praise is thrown at you, and arrogant as this may sound, because I don't want it to sound arrogant, but arrogant as this may sound, the true praise for an artist is to have a fellow artist take a look at their stuff and say, hey, you did a good job here.
Yeah.
Or, hey, that looks pretty cool. Not that anybody else's praise doesn't count, mind you, but one artist to another is peer-to-peer review, as they say in the medical industry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That counts, for me personally, a tremendous amount. And I've gotten accolades. I've gotten accolades from some well-known folks.
Yeah.
And I value that. I've actually treasured it. I saved them.
Yeah. Recordings
on my phone and so on. So that kind of stuff is cool.
So you saw my artwork on the table here.
Yes.
That was all right.
So
never mind. You don't need
wait. Hold on. There's. It's not a matter of is it all right. The question is it a masterpiece?
I can answer that question to you, no problem.
Wait a minute. Okay. Picasso, you know the famous Picasso story, right?
Probably not.
If you don't know it, I'll throw it out.
Okay, let's hear it.
So at some point in Picasso's late career, he was an older man at this point, somebody came up to him and said, hey, can you draw me, can you do a sketch for me? Right? Like you're at a Comic-Con and someone's coming at you, right? So Picasso took a pen and paper and drew a straight line, a perfectly straight line.
Yeah. And
gave it to the guy and said, here, it's my sketch.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at it and he says, hey, it's just a straight line. And you know what Picasso said to him? It took 30 years of professional work to make that line.
Wow. So
you're showing me a doodle.
Yeah.
You're calling it a doodle. I'll call it an illustration.
Sure.
With line work.
Yeah.
And with line work and cross hatching and shape.
Oh, yeah.
And thickness and thinness and all sorts of things. And yeah, it's a work of art. You have created artwork.
Well, I'll have to cut that out and like frame it or something like that.
I would recommend I would recommend that you take a nice, clean, sharp photo of it, and that you reproduce it.
Really?
And then make prints and make sure that those prints are individually autographed. And I think you got a surefire hit here.
There you go. Yeah, like what? I don't know. The one-on-one might be the moneymaker right there. So you must get a lot of new artists or meet new artists and stuff.
All
and
the time.
They probably ask your advice.
We're recruiting all the time. I talk to artists all the time. So yes.
Okay. What's the first thing you tell a new artist that wants to kind of do what you've been doing for many years?
Carnegie Hall.
Okay.
You know that story?
No, I don't.
It's a really old joke.
Okay.
How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Okay.
So you're asking me? That's my line. Practice.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to borrow from it's a musician, but I don't. He's a rock and roll guy.
Okay.
And I don't remember his name now. I'm blanking out on his name.
That's
but
right.
The advice was brilliant, and the advice is what any art school professor will tell you. If you're a musician, you're playing music in your house all day long.
Yeah.
You're surrounded with music, and you're playing music. If you're an artist, surround yourself with artwork all the time.
Yeah.
To this day, I read one comic book per day.
Oh, nice.
No matter what's going on, no matter what's happening, I'm constantly reading comic books. Because what I'll find is that so-and-so handled a panel in a certain way, or handled an underwater scene in a certain way.
Yeah.
Or whatever. We learn from each other. We can see how one artist handles one thing and so on and so forth. So, practice. Surround yourself with artwork and try your best to emulate what the masters have done before you.
Yeah.
And as far as, so that's for art, right?
Sure.
I'm assuming your question also included breaking into the industry.
Absolutely. You know a little bit about that.
I do.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own story. I was doing self-publishing back in the 80s, and I did a series of photo novels called The Nova Girls, which was sort of, in Italy they call it fumetti. I took a twist on it because back in the 80s there was a band called Aha, and they had done an animation, which is kind of a blend of human beings, real people, in a two-dimensional cartoon world. And I was very inspired by that. So I decided to find some models and create a science fiction landscape where the models were real, but all the environments, all the characters, the monsters, everyone they interacted with was drawn.
Okay.
And I published them as a series of graphic novels from like 89 to 91. And at some point in my travels, I connected with some folks at Marvel, and they actually brought me in, not as an illustrator, but to be an art director in their advertising and promotions department. That's how I broke in. I broke in working professionally. Now, many people break in the intern program, where they go to intern at a company, and then that company hires them to work full time. So there isn't a right or wrong answer. Todd McFarlane is really my biggest inspiration.
Really?
Well, do you know the Todd McFarlane story?
Yeah. So
he did it right. He did it the way you're supposed to do it. My take on it is that for months, he labored and created sample pages.
Yeah.
And targeted, and this is important, he targeted books at the company, at Marvel and at DC, both companies. He targeted books that were low sellers. And he purposely targeted books that he felt, because everyone is, it's arbitrary what's good art and what's bad art, but he targeted books that he personally felt his style could benefit.
Yeah.
And those were the sample pages he created, and that's what he was targeting. And the other thing that he did, which I think he did, that this part I'm not 100% sure, but even if I'm wrong, I'm telling everybody in the audience, sure, this is what you should do. If you have to pick a discipline, and by discipline I mean there's penciling, there's inking, there's lettering, there's coloring. It's very, very rare, as you know very well, very rare for one individual to be good at all.
Yeah.
Very rare. There are some people out there, but most of the time it starts to gravitate to penciling and then inking, or, there's different ways that this manifests itself. But it's very rare you're going to show a publisher full color, inked, created piece of art, and you're all of a sudden going to be the next whatever, Jim Lee, Frank, yeah, right? So pick a discipline, pick something that you feel that you're strong in. If you feel that you're a strong penciler, great, then show pencil samples. And I can't tell you over the years how many people have come to me wanting to break into the comics industry and showing me a portfolio full of comic book covers.
Yeah.
That is the biggest mistake anybody can make in this industry.
Yeah.
Because the comic industry is geared around monthly publications that are 22 to 24 pages per month. And every editor, whether that editor is working for Marvel or Dynamite or Dark Horse or DC or wherever the heck they are, they're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
An editor has to produce for the company camera ready, printable ready material every 30 days, or every 25 days.
Sure.
Right? So that editor's job is on the line. Every minute of every day, and the decisions that they make affect their livelihood, affect their job. So as a freelancer, when you step into that world, when you step into that arena, you have to be darn well aware of what you're getting into.
Yeah.
That editor has to trust you. That editor, or you have to earn that editor's trust, because that editor's life is on the line with the decision to bring you in. You're joking. I'm not joking.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So if you say, hey, John Doe editor, no problem. I'm going to do the 22 pages a month. No problem. And you do the first month, and maybe you do the second month, and on the third and fourth month, you completely crap out and you can't meet the deadline. You've now hurt that editor. You've hurt that company. So you have to be willing and prepared to meet deadlines and to do the work.
Yeah. Well, I have a few things I want to hit on real quick. I want to tell you something, because you mentioned Tom McFarlane.
Yes. Tom
McFarlane personally taught me how to draw Spider-Man.
Cool.
When I was 14 years old.
Nice.
He said, "Come up here," and I had a kind of a one-on-one with him for a while.
So you're remembering this your entire life.
Oh yeah. That's
fabulous.
This really cemented my love of comics. And people probably get tired of me telling this story.
I haven't heard it,
but
fire away.
Wanda, his wife, was my
lovely woman.
Yeah, she's awesome. She was my teacher in high school.
No way.
Yes. But she never used her last name McFarlane. She used her maiden name. Okay. One of our friends realized who she was, and then we bugged her to get Todd to come and see us and stuff. And after we bugged her for a while, she said, "Hey, Todd's going to come after school if you guys want to hang out and stuff. He's going to show you how to." And this is like 91. Okay. Right before Image came out and stuff. So Todd came and saw us. And when I say us, there was like 5 of us at the most. Because, back then people didn't talk about like you know, I'm not really into comic books and stuff.
Right.
So here's Todd McFarlane, and like me and my buddy, I can't remember his name. I think it was Josh, and a couple other guys, just sitting there for a few hours with Todd McFarlane, and here he is showing us how to draw and how to. He's like, come up here, just put 2 lines on this paper, just make the 2 lines so they kind of intersect each other. And he goes, "This is how I draw Spider-Man. I make 2 lines and I fit his body in those 2 lines because he's a spider. He can do anything."
Wow.
And so, and I had all of this artwork that Todd drew from these little things that he would come and do with us, you know, because he came like 2 or 3 times. And I don't know whatever happened to these original pieces of art. But he would tell us, he goes, you know, I have another character. I want to do my own thing. And of course, he was pretty open because we're just a bunch of kids, you know, at that time. There's no internet, you know,
right.
stuff. So he's like, you know, I have an idea for a character. I want to do my own thing. And he's telling us about Spawn.
Wow.
And we're just sitting there like, oh, that sounds really cool. Because at that time, that's when Spider-Man, the standalone series, just came out. That he was on board writing and doing the artwork. And he did the first, I don't know, 12 issues or something like that. But hanging out with him and having Wanda there, that was really like, that was my moment to where like, yeah, I like comics, but now I love comics, you know, hanging out with that guy. And look what he went on to do, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
massive. And the toy company he built. I
mean,
yeah. The guy's like a genius.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny because we know each other. We know each other from all the way back in the 90s. He lives on the West Coast. It's not somebody that I stay in touch with all the time. But I bump into him every once in a while in like the oddest places.
Yeah.
Like we'll be, this was San Diego Comic-Con some years back.
Yeah.
I was doing a run-through because I was doing a job with William Shatner, and the following day he was going to come through, and I was doing a run-through with the Comic-Con staff of the whole circuit that he was going to travel. So we get to a point where we're on this backstage area and jump into an elevator to go to where the hole is. And who's in the elevator? Todd.
Yeah.
A quick hello.
Yeah.
This recent San Diego Comic-Con, I saw both him and his wife. We were at a Mexican restaurant, but I didn't want to bother them, so I just let them have their privacy.
Yeah.
But it's funny how you bump into these folks.
It is. It's really
all over the place.
We got a couple other people in here. MJ Comics, how you doing? And Madam as well, how you doing? Just so you guys know, this piece right here that Mariano is working on, this will be in the previews catalog.
January Dynamic Forces previews, dynamicforces.com. And it's the previews for January in stores.
Yes. So this actual piece that he's doing right now, live, putting this together, this homage to the Superman versus Muhammad Ali, will be in the preview. So you're seeing this happen in real time, which is kind of cool. So thank you again for coming on the Bueller bus for a second time.
It's my pleasure.
And doing this, and I'm actually enjoying watching the screen, because I can't see over the pins right now, but it looks really cool. But thank you guys for watching, everybody, and you know, it's a pleasure having this gentleman on here. This is the first ever live in-person artwork demonstration. Do you want to call it a demonstration, or?
Absolutely.
Yes, on the Bueller bus. So
it's a live demo.
It's
and
pretty
hopefully
cool.
It will inspire other artists as you're traveling
to
around
come
the
on
country,
the bus,
to jump on and do a little work in-house here.
You never know. And it's funny you say something like that, because I was at a con in Washington State, and we mentioned Dan Jurgens earlier. And
great guy, another great guy, an amazing talent.
Awesome guy. And we were talking, and there was a gentleman, his name was Kit. He had always gone to that con every year. He's had some really rough medical problems over the last couple of years, so he wasn't able to come, and I wanted to do something special for him. So I asked Dan, and we're friends and stuff like that. I go, hey, Dan, I got this canvas. Can you sign it or whatever? He's like, yeah, sure. So he signs it, but then he draws the Superman character on there. He goes, I'll do this really good, because I was going to take it to all the people that were there at the show. He goes, if I draw a nice picture, they'll probably draw something too. And so he draws a really wonderful Superman on there in the big corner. And everyone I took it to was like, oh, Dan drew on there. And I let them know it's for a gentleman that couldn't make it. And every single artist and writer, they all drew something on this canvas. And like the Jim Starlin did it. And there was like,
how cool is that?
Yeah. And then when it was all done, and the gentleman didn't know I was doing it for him. And I go, hey man, I got you something from the con, and I sent it to him in the mail, and it really made up for him missing it. He'd been there every year for like the last 5 years.
Wow.
And I have a picture of it. I think it's on my Instagram. But just having all those artists work on it. Ken Lashley was on there, and Mark Bagley was on there. Frank Cho, I believe.
Another amazing talent.
Yeah. So it was really cool to get that done. I wanted to ask you, you had mentioned you read a comic book every day. Have you already read the comic book today?
This is, I open my mouth and I get myself into.
See?
So, it's funny because you mentioned Dan and you immediately connected to Superman, but I actually loved Dan's run with Valiant, Acclaim. I don't remember where he did Solar, Man of the Hour.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
So what am I reading? So one of the benefits of being a top-notch industry insider,
absolutely,
a heavyweight of the industry, one of the
pillar,
a
pillar,
I like that.
A living legend.
Even better.
There you go.
Even better.
There you go. This guy.
There was a point in time in the 90s where the comic book companies had an exchange program between each other. So I literally have thousands of comics that I have not read.
Oh, okay.
So I am trapped back in time for my reading.
Okay.
I am currently wrapping up the entire run of Marvel 2099.
Oh, nice.
So I am reading X Nation right now.
Okay.
And that was like a short 8-issue run. And next will be a Submariner run.
So you got plenty.
I've got tons.
You got plenty. You might have to up it to 2 a day. I
don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do.
So that extra day in February or 4 years, that should be like the big one.
That's a bonus for me.
Yeah, so you get
bonus
extra
reading.
What every 4 years you get an extra day for an extra comic. So there you go. But I have a comic that I'm going to give you. A friend of mine wrote it.
All right.
And he's very talented and stuff like that. And I want you to take a look at it. The artwork in it's really good too.
I love that. I appreciate that.
So I do have some. You're actually sitting on my comics right now.
Nice.
So that
nice
little couch that you're in, underneath it is the comic book room.
I figured that there was multi-levels of storage here.
There's 2 short boxes of, about 2 short boxes of books that you're sitting on right now. Bending them.
Nice.
I'm just kidding.
Nice. Notice I didn't flinch because I know you're kidding.
Yeah.
I just know you're kidding. They're all wrapped in those cases that you've got that are indestructible.
Yeah, something like that. We have Stephanie Madam is in the chat right now.
Hi, Stephanie.
She's actually a sculptor.
Oh, nice.
She is an amazing artist. She sends me pictures of her sculptures that she's done, and it's just fantastic. So she's been doing it for a long time. Very talented.
The most I've been able to handle with sculpture is putting together model kits. That's about as far as it goes with my sculpting talent. Yes. I'm sorry to say there is a line, so to speak, to my
She's done many
bandwidth.
She's done many, and they all look really amazing. Different sizes, shapes, and you name it. She's it's
very cool.
What she can do. Comic fan says, "Oh, that cover! I have the Danish and the Finnish versions. The covers were slightly altered. Our late president, I don't know what that name is, was on the Finnish cover. Yeah.
Oh wow!
So there was other.
So Neil kept himself busy and entertained.
Yeah, I think he did that all the time. Can I ask you a question about Neil? Maybe you don't know the answer to this.
I will try my best.
What was his he had a fascination with blue shirts.
Oh wow! So no, I
don't think I've ever seen a picture with him not wearing a blue shirt.
When it comes to the man's wardrobe, it's maybe, I don't know.
I can't be the first person to ask this.
Well, you're the first person to point it out to me. It wasn't something that I had noticed.
Picture him in your mind right now. He's got a blue shirt on, hopefully, right?
I remember seeing him in white button-down shirts too.
Okay, that was weird.
I could be off here.
Yeah.
I could be off.
Yeah, he loved the blue shirts. That looks so neat. I get a little bit of a better view of it right now. Very nice.
Well, like I said, I'm putting, it's kind of backwards to the way comics are produced.
Yeah.
I'm putting the colors down first, and then the inks will go over it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time I've got left.
Whatever you want.
Well, no, it can't be that way. It's
okay.
It's the flip side. This is the Transformers launch day.
Oh, that starts in 15 minutes.
All right. So I believe that our little sojourn here has come to a conclusion.
That's all right with me, because like 15 minutes, like we just said, the Transformers Kickstarter campaign starts for the cars. We actually have the link for that down in the description of this video.
Oh, beautiful.
If you guys want to check that out, you can sign up for it right now. We did a video the other day. I think it was not yesterday, but the day before.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, talking about the cards, what you were doing. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll link that to this video as well. Nice. But when you look at everything this gentleman has done on the bus, now the bus was the inspiration for this cover, just so you for what he's doing. I'll take a little bit of credit.
You should.
It's not, yeah, because he wasn't going to do this until he got on the bus. No, but anyway, he is doing the back cover also. Are you doing the back cover also? Or no, just the front cover.
When it comes to sketch covers, it's been hammered into me. Mm-hmm. And by the way, when I've done my own personal sketch covers, I've created spreads front and back. But for the purposes of what Dynamic Forces does, they're packaging and advertising everything once it's sealed and done with the front facing up. So anything that's done in the back is kind of lost to the sands of time, if you will.
I wanted to tell you one other thing about Tom McFarlane. So I got him to, and this was years later. This is, probably about, I ran into him again. I ran into him a handful of times over the years, but probably about 5 years.
In elevators, backstage at San Diego Comic Con?
This was at
at Mexican restaurants with his wife?
Places I don't really want to talk about.
All right. We'll leave it alone.
At this instance, this was actually at a signing at a local comic shop in Washington State. And he was there, and I got a chance to talk to him and stuff, and I kind of reminded him. I said, hey, I don't expect you to remember me, but do you remember this, the coming up the school? He goes, oh, yeah, I remember that Wanda, she worked at Clackamas High School. That was my high school and stuff like that. So we talked a little bit about him coming to the thing. Well, at that signing, I brought my high school yearbook.
Nice.
And I said, hey, can you sign my yearbook? And so I have my 1990, I think it was 92, high school yearbook signed by Tom McFarlane, and it says, husband of Wanda, Tom McFarlane. And
nice.
It's so cool. And I'll tell you a story, because Mark Silvestri was there as well. Okay. And so we're sitting there at the yearbook, and he goes, oh, is Wanda in here? I go, yeah. I go, let me flip to the page, because she's got her teacher photo in there. So we flip to the page. He goes, oh my gosh, there's Wanda and stuff. I remember that. And so he goes, Mark, come over here. So Silvestri comes over and stuff. And so Silvestri looks at it. He goes, oh man, look at Wanda. She looks great and everything. Of course, like I said, this is like 92. And he goes, and Mark goes, oh, are you in here? I go, yeah. And so I flip to the page where my picture is. And Mark looks at me and goes, man, you aged horribly. I'm like, come on, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, so thank you, Mark Silvestri, for just ruining my day.
The reality check.
Yeah. But since then, I've actually got to know Mark a little bit and stuff like that, and we're actually pretty cool. He remembers that and stuff, so it is what it is. But anyway, we better wrap it up, like you said.
I didn't get as far as I wanted to get.
That's all right.
I wanted to go into inks on this one.
It still looks amazing.
But we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
I might have to add this one to my collection, considering part of it was done on the bus. Heck. I will be keeping an eye out.
It could happen.
Yeah, in the previews when I have the hits and stuff like that. So.
Or I'll do the Travis special for we'll put it on your show.
Oh my God.
When we do the Leroy Neiman version, which will have I'll try to make it pop with color.
That'd be very cool. But I want to thank you, Mariano, for coming on and being a 2-time guest on the show, and both times on the bus itself. Let's go ahead and kind of so you guys can see us a little bit better there. And but this was great, man. This is really cool to watch this be done in real time. and to see your talents on display. Like I said, I've seen your talents for a couple of years now on the show.
Thank you.
And we will have more of your artwork here on the show here at 6 o'clock tonight.
Cool.
I believe we have a couple of your sketch covers as well on it.
Cool.
So thank you, sir.
All right, man.
And thank you. And if you want to say anything to the people watching real fast, go ahead.
Thank everyone for your support. Thank everyone for the kindness and the love. This will be available, dynamicforces.com, starting in January in stores, January 2025 in stores, but it can be pre-ordered at dynamicforces.com.
There you go. Yeah.
And just Transformers. It's all about Transformers today.
Transformers starts in 10 minutes.
I know. I got to run back to the office.
10 minutes. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to live your best life. Have a good one, guys. Let's see if we can do this. All right. Bye, everybody.